Robert Redford is 88 years of age. Is not only a legend in Hollywood, but he's also possessing one of the rarest and most distinctive vehicles ever produced by Butch Cassidy. He has established a career for the Sundance Kid. On classic style and serene self-assurance. Additionally, the vehicle he drives now represents that's ideal. What kind of car is it? Does a man like Redford make a decision based on a join for a lifetime of fame, family, and purpose? As we learn the backstory of the roots of a car, the man, and the legacy. Robert Redford, the Rebel, was born in December 18, 1936, Santa Monica, California. Charles Robert Redford Jr. is his full name. Additionally, he was Martha's only kid. His father, Charles Redford Sr., was employed at working as a milkman before becoming an accountant for an oil business, but his mother raised him at home. They led a humble lifestyle, and even though they lacked, Redford has stated that he never felt impoverished, yet his family loved him and it had greater significance for him than material. Being raised in a working-class household, Redford discovered the value of hard work. And individual accountability. His father was demanding and strict. Punishment, but his mother was cozy and encouraging and frequently assisting his artistic pursuits. At an early age, Redford has a fascination with art and he enjoyed telling stories and painting. And he sought solace in watching movies and enthusiasm in the tales shared on screen. These early encounters were beneficial. Mold his thoughts and subsequently motivate his passion for movies, but Redford was a challenging youngster to raise. He had a rebellious streak and restless energy. He frequently challenged authority figures and didn't always abide by the guidelines, for this conduct would persist until his adolescence. He encountered difficulties at school, not because he lacked intelligence, but because he disliked the conventional classroom structure. He desired to travel the globe. He preferred to be informed on his own terms. What to do? He displayed symptoms even as a boy. He would be an autonomous thinker. Eventually, Redford tragically lost his when he was only 18. His mother's death profoundly affected him. She had always had faith in his abilities and her assistance had given him the confidence to dream big. Losing her so early in life left him with a void, but it also encouraged him to take chances and adhere to his Redford's passions. While attending Van Nuys High Los Angeles School, where he continued to have difficulty at school, he was frequently disinterested and preoccupied with school employment. Following graduation, he enrolled at the Colorado University, but his time shortly. He did not attend college seriously and was ultimately dismissed for subpar academic achievement and behavioral problems. He subsequently acknowledged that he continued to party and drink more, rather of continuing to study. After graduating from college, Redford made the decision to go. This was a pivotal moment in his life. Without any obvious plan, he traveled to Europe and spent a while visiting Italy, Spain, and France. During this time, he soaked and performed odd jobs. He traveled to several cultures and painted them, visited museums and interacted with artists. His distance from home allowed him to develop, both creatively and emotionally. He saw a much larger world than what he knew in California, and it provided him with a fresh viewpoint. While residing in Paris, Redford attended the École de la Salle to study painting. He was determined to become an artist and thought this might be his future. He had a strong interest in visual art, practiced for hours, and improving his abilities, but ultimately he started to sense that something was lacking. He liked using visuals to communicate himself. However, he desired a closer relationship with persons. At that point, he began to think about taking action. After going back to the Redford relocated to New York, USA City, and signed up for the American at the Academy of Dramatic Arts. He received acting instruction and discovered the performance art was not a simple task. Transformation. He lacked any official training. Acting and theater were entirely new world, but he was adamant that observed and extensively examined other actors' scripts and challenged himself to get better. he gradually started to feel more confident. Before long, he began landing minor parts in theater and television. Redford's formative years were characterized by battle for self-discovery and ongoing transformation. Every obstacle molded his character in an unusual method. Of being kicked out of college might have been the final straw for some, but Redford took advantage of it to transcend expectations. While traveling alone around Europe made him feel his bravery and independence didn't take the simple route, which he made his own. He was followed by a spirit of nonconformity. Even as an adult, he disliked being enclosed, regardless of whether it was in Hollywood, or even the parts he selected. He steered clear of the usual leading guy route, and sought for those with nuance, and additionally, he didn't hesitate to accept complexity. A break from celebrity to serve as a director or encourage indie films. His establishment in 1981 Sundance Film Festival is a definite illustration of his dedication to voices of support that weren't always appropriate into Hollywood's mainstream. And now that you are aware of Robert Redford's origins, watch to see how all of that works out. Influenced his current driving and manner of life. Robert Redford's Hollywood fame didn't become a household name in Hollywood overnight. The years of gradual ascent to renown with diligence and little responsibilities. He initially started performing on TV in the late 1950s, featuring on a number of series such as The Twilight Zone's Perry Mason and Alfred. These early roles are presented by Hitchcock. Enabled him to acquire expertise and his self-assurance in front of the camera, a powerful presence and innate ability. It attracted attention even in Redford got his big break in these brief sequences. The stage. He starred in Neil in 1963. Barefoot in the Broadway show by Simon Park as newlywed Paul Brad, attempting to establish a life with his feisty spouse in a little apartment in New York. The timing of the performance was impeccable, and friendliness. He was adored by audiences. The play was a great success, selling more over 1,500 Redford staged triumph performances opening Hollywood's doors. He made his 1962 saw the release of War Hunt, but his career didn't take off right away. He was cast in supporting roles for a few years. Personalities or performed parts that didn't completely equal his skills, but that changed when he returned in 1967 with his part in the movie adaptation of Barefoot. In this time across from Jane Fonda in The Park. The movie did well at the box office and Redford became a star after his performance. His chemistry with Fonda on screen was electrifying, and viewers adored witnessing two performers in a romantic comedy who played off of one another. So too Redford's career began in 1969, years later. Achieved unprecedented success with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, who co-stars Redford. Paul Newman portrayed the Sundance Kid as a talented and cool outlaw with subdued passion. The movie was fashionable, entertaining, and emotionally strong. Because of Redford's performance, a smart, sensitive cinematic heroes of a new sort and a little disobedient, it was a significant achievement and made Redford one of Hollywood's most in-demand actors. He was a household member after that name. Following Butch Cassidy's success and Redford, the Sundance Kid, continued to appear in a number of successful movies that shaped his professional life and made a significant impact on American filmmaking. In 1973 rejoined Paul Newman in the film The Sting. Witty and fashionable film about two scammers plotting a large-scale fraud. The movie won 7 Academy Awards, including the best. Redford's portrayal of Johnny Hooker was witty, vivacious, and keen. Was a candidate for the Best Actor award, and the movie turned into another huge blockbuster that he starred in. The Way We Were that same year. The romantic antithesis of Barbra Streisand drama narrated the tale of two extremely several individuals entering and exiting. Hubbell Gardner was portrayed by Love Redford in a kind and relaxed author whose connection with a politically passionate woman was unable to endure their distinctions. The movie was sentimental and superbly performed. It became a classic romantic relationship, and the chemistry between Streisand and Redford made it incredibly memorable. Redford starred in the 1976 film All the movie President's Men is based on. The actual Washington Post life investigation reporters Carl and Bob Woodward Bernstein's investigation into the Watergate affair. Redford portrayed Dustin and Woodward. Hoffman portrayed Bernstein in the movie, which was serious, tense, and significant. How corruption could be shown by journalists. Redford at the highest echelons of authority was the movie's producer as well, and he ensured that it remained accurate. The film was a box office and critical success. Office achievement, and it strengthened Redford's standing as someone who in 1985, they were interested in significant storytelling. In Out of Africa, Redford starred with Miles Strez's love drama Is Sweeping. Won 7 Academy Awards and was set in Kenya. Including Redford's finest performance in a film, Hatton, Denise Finch, is a mysterious and a daring man who wins people over. Of a Danish author, portraying Strether. The movie was expertly filmed and emotionally stirring. It turned become one of Redford's most well-liked parts, and further to his reputation as an intelligent and nuanced Redford, the top man over the years won numerous accolades for his acting. But his greatest acknowledgement came as a director. He helmed his debut film in 1980. The movie Ordinary People was a calm, heartfelt tale of a family grieving following the loss of a son. It was exquisite and so human. Redford, who directed, took home the Academy Award for the Best Director, an amazing accomplishment for the first time behind the camera. The movie also took home the Best Image. This achievement demonstrated that Redford was a Hollywood star, but he was also a serious filmmaker. With a point, he was awarded an honorary Academy Award in 2002. Honor for his lifetime of service to movie, acknowledging not only his performance and guiding but also his endeavors to encourage independent film and new voices in the motion picture business. Robert Redford has had a significant influence on Hollywood. In addition to his acting, he is a director, and he put a lot of effort into telling meaningful tales and provide opportunities for young filmmakers. He thought that the ability of movies to uplift and transform. I believe he established the Sundance in 1981. Create a non-profit organization committed to promoting independent cinema and performers. One of its largest accomplishments, such as the Sundance Film, an annual festival in Park City, Utah. This celebration has grown to be the greatest significant occasion for independent filmmakers worldwide. It's where a lot of renowned filmmakers such as Quentin, Steven Soderbergh and Tarantino received their. Redford first wished to establish a space where new talent and ideas could shine without Hollywood's pressure. Studios Redford provided assistance through Sundance bring strong originality and creativity. Movies to viewers who might not have seen them in any other way. He thought films didn't have to be expensive to be important. They simply required truth and heart. This dedication made him a role model for numerous young artists and assisted transform the film business. As a producer, Redford completed numerous introspective and difficult movies. He selected tales that mattered to him and backed initiatives that addressed difficulties in actual life. He didn't hesitate to take chances, and that established him as a pioneer in independent cinema. By Robert Redford in the 1970s and 1980s was among the most well-known individuals in his face was all over the world, and the name was linked to high-quality fashion and intellect, but he managed notoriety with silent dignity. He refrained from pursuing he enjoyed being in the spotlight or trying to get attention. Seclusion, and continued to concentrate on his career. His impact extended beyond motion pictures. American fashion was influenced by Redford. With his rough, organic look, he frequently wore basic clothing, such as flannel and denim. Elegant leather coats that showcase his affection for the great outdoors and his grounded attitude. This appearance was dubbed Tough Americana, whom many people looked up to. His easygoing manner made him a Redford looks great in casual and relaxed clothing. Also had a significant impact on what some refer to as the 1970s were Hollywood's heyday, when studios were providing directors with more creative authority. He collaborated with a few of the greatest directors of the era and starred in intelligent films. Significant and enduring, he assisted in demonstrating that movie could be both artistic and amusement. Despite growing older, Redford continued to be regarded with respect in young actors and directors in the film business, and producers held him in high regard. He was an emblem of integrity, skill, and perseverance. Loyal to your principles, he didn't merely make, he assisted in altering the films for the improved family ties and relationships. Robert Redford has had an interesting and lengthy life. Lived behind the camera, but in front of it he has been really discreet in these scenes. Man, as millions of people have observed his movies, few people are aware of his personal experience and his connections, family life, as well as the principles that have Redford had always been led to believe of life's most crucial aspects. Avoid being in the spotlight. Take place in private with the people you care about and the decisions you make when no one else is around. Observing the meeting of Robert Redford and Lola Van Wagen in the late 1950s in Los Angeles, she was a perceptive and intelligent woman who matched his enthusiasm for art and culture and societal transformation. Redford was still figuring things out, and Lola thought the two married in his potential. Redford was only 22 years old in 1958. They were together for almost 30 years of marriage. Van Wagen and Redford started a family. They had 4 kids together, and lifted them out of the tumult of Hollywood. As Redford's notoriety increased, Lola centered on her personal tasks. She was an activist and historian who later co-founded a company named Consumer Action Now, which concentrated on social and environmental concerns. She also obtained a doctorate in American history. But Lola, Redford was frequently in the spotlight, kept grounded, and participated in significant factors that influenced their interaction was not without difficulties, such as Redford's career took off, making it more difficult to juggle his family and career. He once acknowledged that the demands of celebrity and constant travel was taxing for them. Marriage. Following 27 years of being together, the Redford and the couple discreetly got divorced in 1985. Seldom discussed the split in public. In remembrance of Lola and their children, even if they are separated, stayed considerate of one another, and kept up their co-parenting children. Redford found love years later again with German-born Sybil Zagers. The two met as multimedia artists in the 1990s and established a solid rapport built on similar ideals to Redford's. Zagers had a deep love for the natural world and the arts. They were together for years. Prior to being married in 2009 in a private Zager ceremony in Hamburg, Germany, had a significant part in Redford's. In her older years, she is devoted to environmental consciousness and makes use of her artistic in order to raise awareness of climate change. And Redford, the splendor of the natural world, has backed her initiatives, and the couple frequently collaborates on events and causes that are important to them. The relationship appears to be balanced. Tremendous regard for one another. As Redford gets older, Zagers has maintained a consistent presence, and the two had lived a peaceful life apart. Robert Redford, out of the spotlight, and 4 children were born to Lola Van Wagen. Scott, Shauna, David, and Amy. Together, Redford has stated on numerous occasions that being one of the most significant was the father portions of his life. However, his path as a parent arrived with great sadness. In addition to Scott, his first son was born with immense excitement in 1959, but sadly passed away at the age of 2 months after an unexpected newborn death. Redford had syndrome at the age of just 23 at the time, and the loss was quite painful for him. Subsequently stated that it was among the biggest traumatic events in his life, that his grief remained with him and influenced his losing a kid made him look at the world, thus being young made him more perceptive, considerate, and more intent on defending his family and their second child. Born in 1960, Shauna went on to become an artist and painter. She has primarily remained not in the spotlight. David was born in 1962. Carried on his father's legacy and become an activist and filmmaker. Unfortunately, in 2020, David passed away following a lengthy he fought against liver cancer. Gifted filmmaker. Renowned for their considerate documentaries that cover the broad strokes re-evaluating dyslexia, his passing was one more devastating tragedy for Redford. Amy Redford, who was born in 1970, also participates in. She has directed, produced, and appeared in films. Her first film as a filmmaker, The Guitar, 2008, displayed both her own and her unique style. Method of narrating stories. While Redford never forced his kids to enter he backed their interests in the sector and valued their autonomy. Redford has consistently attempted to maintain his family life private. He did not wish for his kids to live under the shadow of his notoriety. That's one of the reasons he decided to reside in Utah rather than Los Angeles. He thought that a calmer, more stable setting would be more suitable for starting a family. Redford made the most of his time with his kids and provided for them. Even though he wasn't always able to be at home, although he rarely discussed fatherhood in front of those that are close to him, claimed that he was a caring and affectionate father. Cherished spending time with his children and ensured they were aware of their greater significance than any film or prize more significant than a film. Robert Redford was a star throughout his life. Has served as more than simply a celebrity. Additionally, he has been a vocal activist who has a strong concern for the environment, civil justice, and rights. His convictions have influenced a lot of his choices in his. Redford's personal and professional lives became active and environmental long before it, in the 1970s. Activism becoming a widely recognized topic, he voiced on the risks posed by pollution, climate change, and deforestation. He backed initiatives to safeguard the public national parks and lands. One of his fighting against oil was one of the main causes. Drilling in the National Wildlife Area of the Arctic Refuge. In addition, he attempted to assist Native American rights by means of his advocacy and his motion picture endeavors. Thought their tales were frequently Hollywood's disregard for or misrepresentation of, and wished to assist in altering that. His work include the Sundance Institute initiatives that supported Native Americans. Filmmakers tell their tales to larger audiences. These ideals have even affected Redford's vehicle selection. Driven throughout the years, but he has always valued the traditional American automobiles for their fashion sense and craftsmanship. He also developed greater intrigue by eco-friendly options as he grew older. As friends and admirers have seen, said he favored electric and hybrid vehicles, particularly as knowledge of climate change increased. For an automobile made by Redford is more than simply transportation. It's a remark regarding the way we live in the world. His decisions frequently showed a combination of pragmatism, grace, and accountability. He liked cars that were well made, classic, and thoughtful regarding lessening his influence on the